Hi all. As you can see a little view of my backyard here. I'm going to chat with you from out here, given the nice weather. So I'll get the camera positioned, and then we'll get started. Supposed to be a beautiful weekend, so I hope that you're able to enjoy a little time out here or outside, wherever you may be, and not focus entirely on class, but I understand that a lot of you are working in your jobs and working on our class stuff, so please take a little time for yourselves and your families. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that, but I want to anyway. So a couple things. Yesterday we had our second chat. Carol and Julie joined me for that one, and I don't think that there was a whole lot of material that would be of interest or relevant to the class as a whole, but if you are interested, you can click on the collaborations tab on the left side of the Blackboard page. Click on the chat date. You'll hear the train passing occasionally. I live right along the speed line tracks, so I apologize for that. So click the chat date, which was 5/17 yesterday, and then there's a tab for recordings, and the recordings tab is the transcript of our chat. Also, you'll see that I have the calendar now set up through May 31st, I think it is, and May 31st is the date of the midterm. And so I added a chat on Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday, May 30th. I made it 90 minutes instead of an hour, just in case people want to discuss have questions related to the midterm or anything. And again, the midterm will be a combination of probably some multiple choice, but probably also a bunch of short answer questions related to the cases that you've been writing about in your homework questions. Also, if you have any thoughts or suggestions about different times when you'd like to chat, I'm fairly flexible in terms of my schedule, so I can set up an evening one if you'd like, and we can figure out the right time and day for that. So one of the most important things that I wanted to tell you today in this little conversation is that I think you're doing great so far. I appreciate the effort that you're making to get your homework answers completed on time. And I've seen progress just in this week's time. You seem to be listening to the feedback that I'm giving you and responding, and I think that your answers have gotten stronger as the week has gone on. So keep up the good work. One of the things that I have noticed and that I think that you are paying attention to is that you're starting to include more concrete details, reasons, evidence that you're picking up from the reading and the podcast, and you're incorporating that into your answers. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for, in some of you, particularly in the Katrina case that I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes, several of you commented based on your personal experience working in the hospital and things about how that would be relevant to your decision making if you had been in Anna Powell's position. So I know that I've cautioned you against just responding based on personal opinion, but a lot of you have your own areas of expertise that are relevant to many of the questions that you'll respond to. And so I think that it's certainly reasonable to bring that in as an element to your answers, not, though, as the sole evidence for responding to a question and things. So keep that up. I'm impressed. I think you guys are hard workers, and I appreciate the work that you're doing so far. So I've read through and commented on most of your answers related to the Katrina and Anna Powell case. And most of you fall on the side, I think more than half of you fall on the side of defending her decision-making And your defense comes down along a couple of lines. One of those is based on the overall horrific circumstances that she and the other physicians and folks were facing. Um, you've got a disaster, you've got intense heat, you've got loss of electricity, you have this generalized fear and anxiety around the people from the outside who are using your facility for shelter. You don't know about safety issues. You don't know how you're going to get out. And given all those circumstances, you can't help feeling that those would have an impact on decision making. And I think that the second piece that you look to was, a fundamental belief, and this may be, sort of your empathy as many of you being nurses, but just this fundamental belief that she was acting, Dr. Pao was acting, her motivation was to relieve suffering, that she was acting out of compassion. And so in answering and responding, when those of you who said that you believe you probably would have done something similar, if not the same, those were, I think, the circumstances that you were thinking about. You were putting yourself into this position, saying, wow, that feels really overwhelming to me, and, out of compassion and out of concerns for the suffering of my patients, I believe I would have done something similar. Not everybody, however, felt that way, and I think you should read Mary's response in particular, because Mary was very emphatic about how she responded to this situation and why she believes that Dr. Pao's actions were wrong. Jordan, I think it was, picked out at least a couple of particular circumstances where overall I think Jordan's response was that she was understanding of how Dr. Pao, of the choices that Dr. Pao made. But there were a couple of circumstances that she pointed out where perhaps Dr. Pao's decisions could have been different, not maybe in the overall perspective, but in a couple of particular cases. So this is complex, and again, as I mentioned, and I'll repeat, most of cases make the bioethics literature because there aren't simple answers to them. If there was one straightforward answer, there wouldn't be anything else for us to talk about. But I think you're seeing, particularly in a case like Dr. Pao, how you have to be able to justify your decision based on cases that have come before, based on ethical principles that offer us standards for our behavior, or based on some other aspects of the particular case that justify your actions and your decisions. And I think that in a legal sense, Dr. Pao was found not guilty, or at least, or I'm not sure whether it was that they decided not to take her case to trial, or whether they found her not guilty. I forget those particulars. But in any case, she has gone on to lecture and talk about ethical issues and to advocate for clearer rules in cases of disaster, and also some, I think she kind of argues for some exemption from being held responsible, medical professionals being held responsible in these cases where the circumstances are such that there's not always a clear-cut answer to how you should treat your patients under those circumstances. So good work on your responses to that. There's some other interesting cases coming up, so please continue with the reading. Your next readings are 2 chapters, and the questions for those chapters for Monday evening. So I wanted to I doubled it up for Monday in chapters because you've got the weekend now, and we also have the midterm coming up soon already, believe it or not. So I think I give you a break next Tuesday. Nothing will be due on Tuesday night. So I'll try to space this out over time, but just make sure that you know that there are a couple of chapters due for Monday. And finally, for the end of the day today, you have your 2 responses to your classmates' posts, homework posts, and realize that I'm looking in my evaluation of those responses, I'm evaluating them based on the same criteria that I'm evaluating your homework answers. I want to see you provide specific details, specific reasons why you either agree or disagree with your classmates. And I always tell people when I teach this class face to face, we should be arguing in class. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with people because that's the nature of the questions and the issues that we confront in this class. There are no straightforward, easy answers. So if we all agreed, it probably wouldn't be a case that warranted our conversation and our struggles and things like that. So the cases that make their way into the bioethics literature get there because people can argue back and forth and create persuasive arguments on multiple sides of them. So when you're thinking about your answers to the questions that I ask, and you're thinking about your response to your classmates' posts, you want to think about what is persuasive. What can you write that is going to convince a reader that your position is a good position, an accurate position, a right position, for lack of a better term, and what you would challenge about somebody else's. Why is it that you disagree concretely? Not only what is it about your position that makes it strong, but where are the logical inconsistencies in your classmates' position? Or do they have facts wrong? Is it inaccurate? Why is it that you disagree, and why is your position strong? So don't be afraid of that, and don't take it personally. I mean, again, these are questions that we should disagree about. And by the end of this class, not only should you have a better knowledge of bioethics content, you should be able to make a stronger argument. You should be able to be more persuasive than you are currently able to be in advocating for a position, in arguing for a conclusion, in whatever the case may be. So, good work. Keep it up. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weather. And if you get a chance, do like me and take a little snooze. I'll be back with you over the weekend and next week. See ya.